Discover the incredible journey of Ginger. 3 heartwarming surprises that changed everything. On a chilly fall night, the diner buzzed like a firefly lantern, its flickering lights casting shadows that danced on the walls of a fading Midwestern town. Ginger wiped down a table while the smell of frying burgers filled the air, inviting but heavy with the weight of unfulfilled dreams. She caught a glimpse of her son Sam, 10 years old, knee-deep in his school project, fingers stained with glue and paint. As the laughter of regulars and the clinking of dishes surrounded her, Ginger felt both comfort and claustrophobia wash over her. The diner served as the lifeblood of their community, a reminder of better times. But it felt like a lifeboat on a sinking ship. "Mom, I can't find the blue paper." Sam's voice broke through the chatter, laced with a mix of panic and creativity. Ginger's heart lurched as she reassured him. "I'll help you in just a moment, sweetheart." Balancing her life as a single mother and a waitress, she pushed herself to keep moving, even when despair whispered against her ear. Every day felt like an uphill battle, but visions of Sam's bright future warmed her resolve. Yet amidst laughter, whispers followed like shadows. The townsfolk loved to talk, and as the for sale signs lined the streets, they cast judgment like rain clouds ready to burst. It wasn't easy being a single mom in a community that thrived on tradition and family, but she kept her chin up, holding on to hope like a light in the dark. Then the earth trembled beneath the town's collective feet when news hit. The beloved bakery was closing its doors. The announcement spread like wildfire through the diner, the gasps echoing off the greasy walls. A piece of their identity was slipping away, and chaos reigned in the familiar chaos of plates and chatter. Ginger gazed out at the concerned faces. Panic danced in their eyes, igniting an ember within her heart. This was more than just a bakery, it was a lifeline, a gathering place, a home. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Amidst the panic, a spark ignited. The townspeople banded together, bake sales, fundraising events, hope rising in the air like the smell of fresh bread. Ginger felt the warmth of community, and a longing stirred within her. Perhaps this was her chance to reach out to her estranged mother, the woman who once held a pedestal in the town's eyes, but had walked away from Ginger all those years ago. With each passing moment, she fought against the bubbling fear inside her as shadows of judgment threatened to envelop her. But as rumors swirled, the burden of past pains clawed at her, and she wrestled with the thought that maybe she wasn't worthy of help after all. Would they really rally around her, or would she stand exposed before their judgments? Just as she felt the edges of hope soften, an unexpected ally emerged, an old waitress with a wizened smile and a heart filled with understanding. This small act of kindness sent Ginger's heart soaring. The stakes were higher than ever, and as she prepared for the big fundraiser, everything hung in the balance. With raw determination, she stood on the precipice of acceptance, her heart racing with both fear and excitement. Would the community support her or push her deeper into isolation? As she stepped onto the stage, the spotlight flickered above, illuminating the questions swarming in her mind. Could courage confront the shadows of the past? The stage felt both liberating and terrifying as Ginger's heart pounded like a drum in her chest. The crowd was watching, their faces illuminated by the warm lights, expectant whispers swirling like autumn leaves caught in a breeze. With each step toward the microphone, she could sense their eyes boring into her, critiquing, judging, waiting for her to stumble. Yet, beneath that wave of fear, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Ginger took a deep breath, steadying her voice, allowing the echo of the diner's laughter to remind her of why she was there. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she began, her nerves gripping her tighter than she wished. "I know we've all heard the news about our bakery. It feels like losing a part of our family." As she glanced at the familiar faces in the crowd, she saw their frowns soften, nodding in understanding. Her words began to flow more freely, fueled by the shared pain in the room. "That place means everything to us. It's where we gather, celebrate, and share our stories." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, encouraging her to delve deeper. We're not just fighting for pastries and treats. We're fighting for our community. She could feel the tension seep out of her with every word. We have memories in that little bakery, my son Sam's first birthday cake. And all the smiles and kindness we've exchanged there over coffee. We can't let that place disappear. As her voice rang out, something shifted. A woman near the front burst into applause, quickly joined by others until the entire room hummed with approval. Ginger couldn't help but smile, the warmth of their support wrapping around her like a blanket on a cold night. But just as the joy bubbled, a shadow of doubt sliced through. What if her words weren't enough? What if they all turned back to their corners, leaving her and Sam to face the heartbreak alone? Those thoughts threatened to drown her. But then the old waitress she had noticed earlier, the one with the knowing smile, stepped forward. "Ginger, I've been watching you fight," she said with unexpected strength. "We all have. Your courage speaks louder than any bakery ever could. We're in this together." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Ginger's heart soared. This was it. This was what community felt like. As the night unfolded, they laughed and planned, each idea bringing more energy to their purpose. Bake sales, car washes, even local musicians offered to play for free to raise funds. Ginger could barely keep up with the whirlwind of support. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen, felt like she belonged. Then she spotted Sam peeking through the crowd, eyes wide with admiration. Her heart swelled. This was the moment she wanted, for him to believe in the power of their community, in the strength of togetherness. But as she engaged the room, another thought loomed large: her mother. Would this be enough to bridge the divide? With every promise made that night, the question turned in her mind, a storm gathering strength. As it came time to wrap up the event, Ginger held her breath, the weight of the evening pressing down against her chest. Would this newfound momentum carry her to her mother? And could she face the past she had avoided for so long? When the last applause faded, she took one more glance at Sam, smiling so brightly it chased away the shadows. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What would happen next? Then, as if the universe answered her unspoken questions, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She fumbled to pull it out, heart racing again. A message flickered across the screen. It was from her mother. "I heard what you're doing. Can we talk?" Ginger's breath caught in her throat. Ginger stared at the message, her heart pounding hard enough to drown out the noise of the now diminishing crowd. "Can we talk?" It felt like a door swinging open, revealing a room shadowed by past hurts and misunderstandings. Her mother hadn't always been the most supportive, and late-night phone calls had dwindled to silence. Ginger whispered, the word hanging in the air before it dissipated like steam from a freshly brewed cup of coffee. She could feel the weight of their history, heavy and barbed. But this was her chance, a light piercing through the fog of resentment. But was she ready? "Ginger." Sam's voice broke through her reverie. He tugged on her sleeve, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Did you hear them clap for you? It was like you were a star." She knelt, wrapping her arms around him. The innocence in his laughter melted a little of her tension. "It felt pretty good, huh? Can I help with the bake sale?" he asked eagerly. "With the alligators?" Ginger laughed, pulling back and ruffling his hair. "You mean the cookies shaped like alligators?" "Absolutely. But first, I think we need to talk about the most important thing." "Like what?" "Like how we're going to get our community bakery back up and running." Determined, she tucked her phone into her pocket. The prospect of a conversation with her mother simmered under the surface, but the moment to gather the community's support burned brighter. The next morning, as the sun painted patterns on the pavement, Ginger arranged a meeting at her kitchen table, inviting friends, neighbors, and anyone who could contribute. They huddled around, a vibrant mix of eager faces and warm smiles. "What do we need?" someone asked, looking at her expectantly. "Passion, ideas, and money," Ginger replied, feeling a heat of vulnerability wash over her. "But mostly we need heart. Every little bit helps." And suddenly, as they shared ideas, the plans transformed from the abstract into tangible steps. They spoke of local businesses backing them, flyers filled with colorful drawings of cakes, and signs proclaiming, "Save our bakery." "Let us rally the kids," an older woman suggested. "They can make posters." "Let us create a buzz." Ginger's spirit stirred with hope. The energy in the room felt electric. charged with the possibility of something great rising from the ashes of loss. They brainstormed late into the afternoon, each suggestion leading to laughter like old friends rediscovering lost connections. Then, just as the meeting was winding down, Sam burst through the door breathless. "Mom!" A lady came by with a big box. She said, "It's from Grandma." Ginger's heart leaped into her throat. Her mother had never sent anything without an occasion, and there hadn't been one to warrant this gesture. A box? Yeah. It was the lady from the bakery. His face glowed with excitement. With curiosity mixed with anxiety, Ginger followed Sam. As she opened the box, tension spiraled through her like the ribbons of a gift. Inside, nestled alongside rolls of parchment paper, was a collection of her mother's beloved recipes. "I thought she wasn't with us anymore?" Ginger murmured, taken aback. "Maybe she is," Sam insisted, watching her closely. The room dimmed around them as Ginger unearthed a recipe for a traditional family cake, the very kind she had baked with her mother on special occasions. Tears pricked at her eyes. Could this be the bridge, the step toward mending? But as excitement flared, so did her fear. Would she risk reaching out again? Just when everything seemed ready to shift, her phone buzzed again, this time with an incoming call. It was her mother calling. Taking a deep breath, Ginger steadied herself. Could this be the moment she had waited for? The moment that might change everything? As she opened the call, her heart raced, and the weight of the past pressed on her shoulders. But sunshine always follows rain, doesn't it? What if this opens a door? She thought, gripping the phone tightly. And as the voice on the other end greeted her, she wondered, was this the moment they could finally confront the storm? Ginger's heart was a wild drum in her chest, each beat resonating with memories both sweet and bitter, as she hesitated just a moment longer to respond. The voice on the other end, familiar yet distant, sent shivers down her spine. "Hello, Ginger?" "Mom," she managed to say, each syllable pulling her back into a past she had tried so hard to navigate. "I got your number from, well, you know." Ginger could hear the hesitation in her mother's voice, the quiver of unspoken words lingering in the space between them. "I was wondering if we could talk. I miss you." That proclamation hit her like a wave, strong and unavoidable. "Miss me?" The incredulity in her tone surprised even her. "Why didn't you just call?" Silence hung heavily, punctuated only by the faint sound of her mother drawing a shaky breath. "I didn't know what to say." Every unsaid word rushed back into mind every time she felt abandoned, every tear shed in the quiet evenings that felt endlessly long. But in that moment, she also felt the flicker of hope igniting deep within her. "Maybe we can start with, how about I come over tomorrow?" "Tomorrow?" Her mother sounded surprised, but there was a gleam of warmth beneath the uncertainty. "Yes," Ginger said firmly, her resolve crystallizing. "I found some old recipes and I thought we could bake together." Her mother's voice softened. "Just like we used to?" "Exactly," Ginger smiled, envisioning flower-covered counters and the comfortable chatter of love over shared projects. An unexpected laughter bubbled up, reminding her of joyful times blurred by their long absence. "We could make that family cake. I'd love that." The sincerity in her mother's voice broke through the hesitation, igniting something between them. "Okay then." Ginger let herself breathe, feeling the tension ease like the fading sound of a distant thunderstorm. They made plans, discussing ingredients and techniques sweetened with laughter. Finally, they wished each other a tentative goodbye filled with new promises. After hanging up, Ginger felt a rush of exhilaration surge through her, a combination of fear and hope that had her pacing back and forth in the kitchen. Sam peeked in, noticing his mother's excitement. "Did you talk to Grandma?" "Yeah, and she wants to cook with us. Like old times." Sam jumped with joy. "Yay, I can be her sous chef." That night, beneath the twinkling stars and crickets serenading in the backyard, Ginger lay awake, replaying the conversation over and over in her mind. Had they truly turned a corner? Could this baking session lead to the reconciliation she had always dreamed of? As morning broke anew, it arrived with a sense of promise and nervous anticipation. Ginger put on her favorite apron, the one sprinkled with flour stains from past endeavors, her heart dancing to a hopeful rhythm. The recipe cards felt like old friends in her hands. It was a step forward, a leap into the unknown. On her way to her mother's house, she felt the weight of the box with the arranged recipes nestled safely in her bag. What if this wasn't just a baking lesson? What if it became something more, a way to forgive, to learn, and perhaps to love again? As she parked in the familiar driveway, she stilled her racing heart. With just a few steps to the door, the air crackled with expectation. But then her phone buzzed again, another message waiting. This one made her freeze. I can't wait for you to come over, but we need to talk about something important first. Ginger's stomach twisted. What could that possibly mean? As doubts flooded her mind, she realized this could change everything once more. Would she have the strength to face whatever was waiting on the other side of the door? Taking a deep breath, Ginger stepped out of the car and walked towards the door. The sunlight felt too bright, as if it was shining a spotlight on her. Each step felt heavier than the last, her heart racing faster as she reached for the doorbell. She hesitated, her finger hovering above the button. What lay behind that door? Could it be another disappointment? Another reminder of lost years? But this was different, wasn't it? She had made the decision to come here. She had said she wanted to bake, to reconnect, to be there. Her finger pressed the doorbell, and the chime echoed through her, startling her thoughts. A moment later, the door swung open, revealing her mother standing there, looking both familiar and foreign. The years had etched lines around her eyes, and her hair was streaked with silver, but the warmth in her gaze was as comforting as Ginger remembered. Ginger. Her mother's voice was a gentle embrace. You came. Of course, Ginger replied, attempting to mask the tremor in her voice. She stepped inside, the familiar smell of vanilla and butter washing over her like a cherished memory. But then the message echoed in her mind, casting a shadow over the moment. Ginger ventured into the kitchen, where everything looked the same and yet so different. The worn countertops were still cluttered with baking tools, and the fridge had the same old calendar adorned with family photos, each snapshot whispering stories of their history together. Are you ready to bake? Her mother asked, a hint of nervousness in her smile. Ginger nodded, though her heart clenched. But first, can we talk? The colors drained from her mother's face, and for a brief moment, Ginger worried she'd made a mistake. They stood there, the past stretching between them like an unspoken bridge. What's on your mind? Her mother finally asked, her voice a fragile bridge over the uneasy silence. Ginger took a breath, trying to find the right words. You texted me, said you had something important to discuss. What is it? Her mother's hands trembled slightly as she glanced down at the countertop. I should have said this a long time ago, she said quietly. There are things you don't know about why I left. Ginger felt a knot tighten in her chest. I think I deserve to know. Her mother's eyes shimmered, reflecting years of regret and unexpressed emotions. You were just a child. I didn't want you to carry my burdens. I thought. She paused, collecting her thoughts. I thought it was for the best. For who? You or me? Ginger's voice trembled slightly, her feelings churning within her. I see now. I see how wrong I was. Her mother's admission came out in a breathless rush, tears brimming in her eyes. I was scared. Scared of being a bad mother, scared of failing you. The air in the room felt thick with revelations. Ginger's heart beat louder now. Not just with anger but with a flicker of understanding. You could have just talked to me, she whispered, raw and vulnerable. I know. And I'm so sorry. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with their unpolished truths and hidden fears. Let us make that cake, Ginger finally said, her voice softer, opening a door towards healing. We can figure this out together. Her mother nodded, a grateful smile breaking through the sadness. As they began to gather the ingredients, a new energy filled the kitchen, one infused with hope, laughter, and tentative trust. They measured flour, cracked eggs, and mixed the dough, moments of silence punctuated by their gentle back and forth. But Ginger couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the tip of the iceberg. There was still a looming heaviness in the air, a promise of deeper revelations yet to come. Suddenly, just as they prepared to pop the cake into the oven, the buzzing of her phone broke through again. It displayed an incoming call from Sam. Her heart raced. What did he need? Would this moment turn into another twist? As she glanced up at her mother, the room pulsed with anticipation. Would discussing their future together put the past in a different light? What if this was yet another chance for change? Ginger took a deep breath and answered the call, the weight of the moment hanging between them. Hello? Ginger's voice came out steadier than she felt, but the way her mother watched her made her pulse race. Ginger. Thank goodness I reached you, Sam sounded urgent. I have something to tell you. Can you talk? Now's not great, she said, glancing at her mom, who was busy measuring sugar, trying her best not to overhear the anxiety in Ginger's tone. Can it wait? There was a pause that stretched like a rubber band. No, it can't. The desperation in his voice was enough to pull Ginger in. All right, she relented. What is it? I found something about your father, he said, and Ginger's heart dropped. Thoughts fluttered wildly. Wasn't he this the thing they had avoided? The shadow lurking just beyond the edges of their baking laughter? What do you mean? She asked, her thoughts tangled. I'll explain everything. Can we meet? Somewhere private. Sam. The weight of mixing memories and unspoken words threatened to drown her. Her mother lifted her gaze, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Ginger gave her a forced smile, but her gut twisted. Ginger, this is important, Sam insisted. Fine, she replied, heart thudding now. Where? He told her, a cafe nearby. As she hung up, stifled waves of frustration mixed with apprehension washed over her. She couldn't believe this. Just as things seemed to mend between her and her mother, another piece of her past was insisting on breaking through. Her mother's soft voice cut through her thoughts. Who was that? Just someone from work, Ginger said, not wanting to stir the waters too soon, not wanting to upset the delicate or burgeoning connection of warmth simmering in the kitchen. Are you sure? Her mother's eyes searched hers. You can talk to me, you know. Ginger felt a mix of irritation and longing. I know, she replied carefully, but I need to handle this myself. Okay. Her mother nodded, but the concern didn't leave her gaze. Just remember, I'm here. Ginger gave a half smile, feeling the gentle nudge of her mother's support while battling her own fear. They resumed baking, yet the joy was tinged with uncertainty. Each icing of the cake felt like it was piled onto both the dessert and the emotional layers hovering overhead. As the timer dinged and the smell of warm cake filled the air, Ginger's phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Sam. Please don't forget. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Ginger's heart accelerated, a mixture of worry and dread curling in her stomach. What more could Sam possibly uncover? She found herself losing focus on the kitchen around her, the way the light danced off the mixing bowls suddenly overshadowed by looming questions. What's wrong? Her mother asked gently, putting down the wooden spoon. You look pale. Nothing. It was a lie, but she said it anyway, her heart heavy, expecting the ground beneath her to shift. Back in flow they frosted the cake with earnest smiles while the tension hung silently, unspoken truths swimming just beneath the surface. 15 minutes later, the cake sat proudly on the countertop, a beautiful layer of white icing swirled with sprinkles of colored sugar, an assertion of their tentative truce. But just as they stepped back to admire their work, the doorbell rang again. Ginger's stomach dropped. Her mother looked startled. Is that? It's probably Sam, Ginger replied, feeling the interrupting pulse of dread. She wiped her hands on a kitchen towel, unsure if she was ready for whatever was about to unfold. As she opened the door, she found Sam standing there, his expression serious. As if he held more than mere facts, he carried the weight of past choices and secrets yet to be unveiled. Before she could say anything, he stepped inside, his eyes darting between her and her mother. I think we need to talk, all of us. Ginger held her breath, the air thick with the promise of revelation. What could Sam possibly have to say that would change this fragile moment? Would it fracture everything again? Or could it be the piece needed to finally understand? The walls felt alive, charged with anticipation as they waited for the words that might just unravel the rest of their tangled story. The room fell silent, the smell of cake and sugar swirling around them like a protective barrier. Ginger's heart raced, adrenaline lacing her veins. The tension was palpable, thick as the frosting on their cake. What is it, Sam? She finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He ran a hand through his hair, his brow furrowed, searching for the right words. I found some documents at the archives today. About your father. Complicated. Ginger flinched, the air pressing down on her like the weight of a boulder. What kind of documents? She pressed. Every part of her wanted to pull away but remained frozen, captivated by his words. I can't explain everything here, he said, glancing at her mom. It might be better to sit down. We could go to the cafe after, but first you should know the gist. Her mother stepped forward, protective instinct flaring. If it concerns my daughter, I think I deserve to hear it too. Sam nodded, his body taut with tension. Okay, but prepare yourself. He cleared his throat, pulling a folded piece of paper from his pocket. This is about your father, Ginger. There were records of him in the system. He wasn't just a regular man. He had a life before financial records, a name we never discussed. What do you mean? Ginger asked incredulously, her eyes wide. What name? His name was Jonathan Harris, Sam said, voice steady. And he was involved in some serious legal issues. Ginger's mind spun, struggling to form coherent thoughts, heart racing. What kind of legal issues? Fraud. He was mixed up in something deep, and there are some serious consequences tied to it. Sam swallowed hard. I know it's a lot to process, but it sounded like he was intentionally dishonest about who he was, he continued, not missing a beat. The family name isn't just a story. It's part of something much larger. Ginger couldn't breathe. The kitchen's walls around her felt like they were closing in. She lost her grip on the countertop, the smooth surface becoming a lifeline. Her mother stepped closer, worry etched across her face. Are you sure? I mean, this can't be right. Trust me, I didn't want to believe it either, Sam replied softly, his empathy spilling over. But it seems real. They had public hearings. A whole courtroom drama. Your dad might not have even been who you thought he was. But why? Ginger swallowed hard, struggling back tears. Why did he keep this from us? There was a long pause filled with unspoken fears and tangled thoughts. Sam's gaze softened as he took a step closer to her, the weight of revelation hanging heavy. Maybe he thought it was for the best. Maybe he thought he could protect you both. Protect us? Or himself? Ginger's voice rose, emotion bursting through. She turned to her mother, seeking clarity. Mom, how could you not know about this? Her mother's face flooded with regret, her hands clasped together as if in prayer. I didn't know, Ginger. All I ever wanted was to keep our family together. Your father, he had secrets he carried, but he loved us. Ginger felt the world tipping beneath her. Did he? Did he really? The room sank in silence again, the air acrid with unresolved emotions. Sam shifted, the atmosphere thick with the complexity of family ties, truths unshared, and the jagged puzzle now poised for assembly. Ginger, Sam began, his tone gentle but firm, this isn't just about what he did. It's about what you choose to do with this truth now. You can't live in the shadow of someone else's mistakes. His words resonated deep. A part of her wanted to run, to hide from the unfolding reality. Yet, another part felt a call to confront it, to forge her path despite the weight of her father's past. As she locked eyes with Sam, a flicker of determination ignited within her. Let us go to that cafe, she said, her voice steadier now. I need to know more. I need to find the truth. She paused, heart pounding as she realized one undeniable truth. There was no turning back now. But one thing is clear, she added, glancing at her mother with renewed strength. I won't let this define who I am. Her mother nodded. Slowly, tears welling in her eyes, and Sam offered a reassuring smile, a glimmer of hope amid the storm. Ginger stepped toward the door, resolute. A journey awaited her, filled with revelations and choices she had to face. She could see it now, the light beyond the darkness, waiting patiently for her to step forward. As they moved toward the exit, each footstep amplified her resolve, echoing off the walls like a drumroll heralding change. But just before they crossed the threshold, her phone buzzed again, this time a message that sent chills down her spine. I know what you found. You need to stop looking. For your own good. Ginger turned, the weight of the unknown suddenly heavier than before. What did this mean for everything she was about to uncover? The air outside felt electric, invigorating as they stepped into the cool breeze. Ginger tightened her grip on the phone. The words echoed in her mind, a warning that could potentially slice through her newfound determination. She glanced back inside one last time, trying to catch a glimpse of the life she thought she knew, then turned on her heel toward the cafe. The cafe was only a few blocks away, but each step felt monumental. Sam walked beside her, casting quick, purposeful glances at her, as if gauging the turbulence of her thoughts. Her mother trailed slightly behind, her presence both comforting and suffocating. The city buzzed around them, cars honking, people chatting. A stark contrast to the whirlwind stilled in Ginger's heart. As they reached the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and cinnamon rolled over them like a warm hug. Inside, the walls were painted a soft yellow, filled with eclectic artwork. It felt like a vibrant bubble against the harsh reality they had just faced. Ginger nodded toward a small corner table, where they sat down, the decor a stark juxtaposition to the heavy conversation looming ahead. "I can't believe this," Ginger said, biting her lip. "I mean, what does this even mean for me? If everything about my dad was a lie, how do I even begin to process that?" "Start with what you do know," Sam encouraged, his tone steady, the kind of familiarity that soothed her frayed nerves. "You have a choice now, Ginger. You can confront this or let it consume you." Her heart raced at the thought. Could she really confront the past? Could she illuminate the shadows her father had cast? The thought was terrifying and liberating all at once. "What if it leads to more bad news?" she asked, her voice low, barely above a whisper. "What if I find out that it's all much worse than I can handle? Then you tackle it, just like you're starting to do now." Her mother interjected softly, her eyes filled with a mixture of weariness and hope. "We can't control everything, but we can control how we respond to it. That's what really matters." Ginger picked at the edge of her napkin. "But how do we get to that point? How do we understand him when he was so secretive?" Sam leaned in closer, the tension in his voice cutting through the noise of other customers. "I think you need to see the documents for yourself. They might hold more pieces to this puzzle than we realize. Maybe your father had reasons we still don't understand." The idea sent a thrill through her. "I was a mix of fear and anticipation. Can you help me find them?" "Of course," Sam said, his smile reassuring. "I have contacts, and we'll do this together." Just then Ginger's phone buzzed again. A new message flashed across the screen. "You're digging too deep. Back off while you still can." Her heart pounded as dread pooled in the pit of her stomach. "Who is it?" Sam asked, noticing her ashen face. "It's my friend. They don't want me to look anymore." The words tasted bitter. Her mother tilted her head. "You need to decide what's more important, Ginger. Their fears or your truth." Ginger felt the weight of their eyes on her, the swell of the moment anchoring her in place. The truth stared back at her from that small illuminated screen, taunting her like a ghost tethered to her past. What if they're right? Ginger wondered aloud, dampened by uncertainty. "Then you'll stand and fight," Sam replied. He leaned back, confident in his support, ready to catch her if she faltered. "Yeah, fight," Ginger echoed, her own voice gaining strength. The storm within her swirled with a mix of anger, determination, and a desperate need for clarity. She took a deep breath and rose from her chair. "I'll chase the truth. But I need to be prepared for whatever fallout comes next, no matter how hard it is." As they gathered their things, resolve bubbled up within her, igniting a fire. There was no turning back now. As they left the cafe, the sun was starting to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows on the sidewalk. Yet another message pinged on her phone, and this time dread twisted in her stomach yet again. "You want tea like what you find? I suggest you stop your search." Ginger glanced at Sam and her mother, dread mixing with an escalated resolve. She clutched the phone tightly, aware this path was winding and fraught with danger, but it was a path she had to take. "What if the truth is darker?" she muttered, uncertainty creeping back in. But deep down she knew the answer. She had to find out for herself, and no matter the consequences, she wasn't going to stop. As they stepped back onto the busy street, a question loomed over them: would she truly be ready for the unexpected truths waiting to unravel? The air outside was thick with the scent of impending rain, but Ginger barely noticed. Her heart raced, fueled by the fear and determination swirling within her. Each step she took was a quiet promise to herself that she would uncover her father's hidden truths, no matter the cost. Sam and her mother walked close by, offering unspoken support even as tension clung to the air like the storm clouds gathering above. "We should check my dad's office first," Ginger suggested, her voice steadier than she felt. A sense of urgency pushed her forward. The need to see the documents Sam mentioned made her pulse quicken. There might be something there, something he hid before. Her mother nodded, though concern flickered in her eyes. "Let us not jump into anything too quick. We need a plan." "A plan is good," Sam agreed, his focus on Ginger unwavering. But also, we need to be smart about this. If someone is warning you to back off, there may be more at stake than we realize. As they walked toward her father's office, her mind buzzed with questions that felt both daunting and crucial. Why all the secrecy? The sending messages flashed across her memory, each one sending chills down her spine. They were trying to protect her, she reminded herself, but protect her from what? They arrived at the office building, an imposing structure that still felt familiar despite everything. Ginger felt her stomach, not as they rode the elevator up. What if we find something we're not ready to see? She asked, glancing at Sam. It's better to face the truth than keep chasing shadows, he replied, his gaze steady, a lighthouse guiding her through uncertainty. The elevator dinged and she stepped out, holding on to the hope that this would unlock something more than just her father's secrets. As they reached his office door, her breath caught in her throat. What lay behind this door? What truths would it reveal, and would they be ready for them? Ginger turned the knob, her hands trembling slightly as the door creaked open. The office was just as she remembered, a mix of organized chaos with stacks of files and papers everywhere. She stepped inside and the memories flooded back. Her dad's laughter, the smell of his cologne, the endless stories he told about the work he did. Okay, we split up, Sam said, snapping her back into the moment. I'll check the filing cabinet. You and your mom look through his desk. Ginger nodded, trying to shake off the memories that suffocated her with their weight. They began rummaging, each sound of paper being shuffled loud in the silence of the room. Minutes felt like hours as she opened drawers and flipped through files, her heart racing with anticipation. Mom, over here. Ginger called, her voice trembling with excitement. She pulled out a worn leather-bound notebook, its pages yellowed and dog-eared. This had to hold something important, something revealing. Her mother moved closer, peering over Ginger's shoulder. What does it say? Ginger opened it, skimming the first pages. Handwriting danced across the paper, scraps of thoughts, ideas, and there it was, a mention of names she didn't recognize, along with dates that felt dictated by something bigger than her family. Her hands shook as she turned each page, uncovering glimpses of a life that seemed dangerously separate from the one she'd known. Ginger, look at this, Sam's voice broke through her reverie, pulling her attention. He held up a file marked with her father's initials, Hazar. What does that mean? She whispered, her heart racing. Let us find out, he replied, voice steady despite the mounting tension. Ginger felt adrenaline surge through her. This wasn't just about her father anymore. It was about uncovering shadows that had loomed in her life for far too long. But as she took a deep breath, ready to delve deeper, another surge of fear washed over her. What if the answers they discovered shattered everything she believed? As her fingers grazed the edge of the documents, another text vibrated violently against her thigh, sending her pulse sky-high. Stop while you still can. You don't know what you're getting into. Ginger's heart thundered. It wasn't just the search anymore. It was a battle against something unseen, an enemy she hadn't even identified yet. What is that? Her mother asked, concern etched across her face. It's another warning, Ginger replied, unable to suppress the tremor in her voice. With every click of the keys, they weren't just uncovering truths. They were also stirring shadows. What kind of dark forces were waiting to intervene in her search? As she looked at Sam and her mother, questions flooded her mind. Would they be able to protect each other amidst the chaos about to ensue? In that moment, with uncertainty thickening the air around them, she felt a sense of resolve building. She wouldn't back down, she was determined to see this through. But what she didn't expect was how dangerously close those shadows were to enveloping her, and the lengths to which others would go to keep the truth hidden. Ginger took a deep breath, shaking off the heaviness in her heart as she tucked away the barrage of doubts. She had come too far to falter now. The truth awaited on the threshold of her father's secrets, and that unyielding light of hope flickered just beyond. Gathering her resolve, she blurted, "All right, we need to keep moving." Without giving her fear a chance to settle, she gestured toward the files Sam had discovered. His questions ignited a new determination. Together they could sort this out. Might as well find what else we can uncover, she said, leaning towards the inviting pool of knowledge. Her fingers glided over the desk's surface. It felt like standing before a locked treasure chest. There has to be more. Her mother watched with a mix of pride and apprehension. It was like seeing her daughter reclaiming her own narrative, An act of bravery that hadn't felt achievable before this moment. Just be careful, sweetheart. I worry about what might come up. Me too, but we can handle this. We're a family, Ginger replied, her voice steadying her own nerves. They had weathered so much together, this was just the next storm. They delved further, skimming through documents with urgency. Each page turn felt like peeling back layers of a carefully constructed facade. Sam found more scattered papers, some filled with cryptic notes, others containing dates and figures that didn't quite add up, but reflected a world swirling in secrets. Look at this, Sam exclaimed, pulling out a confidential letter addressed to Ginger's father, the recipient unreadable due to a faded ink. He held it delicately as if it were fragile glass. Ginger's heart raced, fear and anticipation swirling together. What does it say? I can't quite read it, he replied, frowning. But it seems to mention a deal, something larger than a bakery. What exactly did Dad get himself into? Ginger asked, dread creeping along her spine. In that instant, the air shifted around them, filled with unspoken tension. It wasn't just family secrets, they might be touching onto something far more dangerous. As her fingers combed through more documents, the weight of unease settled in, compounded by another buzz from her phone, a message from an unknown number. You need to drop this, Ginger. Her throat constricted. It's happening again. We need to make sense of this before it gets worse. Take a breath, Sam urged, determination brightening his features. Let us focus on what we have. Together, her mother echoed, stepping closer. Their unity a silent armor against whatever threatened them. Okay, Ginger nodded, a quiet storm of resolve brewing within. Let us sort through these. Then we confront what needs to be confronted. They hustled through the stack of papers, clicking together pieces of a nightmarish puzzle, while planning their next steps. With every revelation, she felt a fresh wave of empowerment rush through her. They were holding the reins, not the shadows. As they pieced things together, it became evident her father had been caught up with a dangerous crowd, a web of deception that gnawed at Ginger's sense of self like a thief in the night. Each revelation drew her closer to understanding who he'd been, and the choices he'd made that affected their family. Then the door creaked open, and the three looked up to see a man standing there. He seemed familiar yet uneasy, an old business associate of her father's. The unshakable glint in his eyes made Ginger's skin crawl, binding her fear with anticipation. Ginger, we need to talk, he said cautiously, stepping forward as if he were walking on a tightrope. The silence rang heavy, pressing against her chest. The instinct to retreat flared up, heaviness settling in her mind. What do you want? Ginger asked, heart caught between fury and confusion. I heard you're digging into things, he responded, the air thickening around them. You need to understand what you're really getting into. His voice struck like lightning. The warning crackled as the truth poured forth. The dangerous gap unfurled between them. This was no longer just about her father's hidden past. The ripples of their family history spread out, and they could no longer afford to ignore the impact they could still have. Answer my question, she pressed. What is happening? What did my father do that still matters today? He hesitated, casting a furtive glance at her mother before meeting Ginger's fierce gaze. It's not just your past. It's your present too. You need to forget about him for your own safety. No, Ginger whispered firmly, voice quaking with each syllable as a wave of fierce determination rose. This isn't about running anymore. I'll find my truth whatever it may be. Suddenly, a sense of clarity washed over her. A renewed perception of her own strength. It felt like standing beneath a bright banner against the storm, refusing to cower in darkness. Her mother stepped beside her, grounding that strength. We'll face this together. This is our choice. The man's face twisted in concern, but it was too late. They were already into the storm, and Ginger felt more empowered than before. Her heart swelled. This battle formed the essence of family ties amidst tangled truths. We will take this on, Ginger affirmed, flashing a defiant smile. And we're not backing down. As the man took a step back, uncertainty flickered in his eyes, a spark of doubt that suggested he expected them to crumble. But they wouldn't. They were stronger than that. Stealing her breath, Ginger leaned into Sam and her mother, feeling the swell of hope and resolve rising like the sun through the clouds. The path ahead twisted, loomed with shadows, and whispers of danger trailed their steps. Yet they would brave it all. swimming against the tide of unanswered questions together. As they prepared to dive deeper into the unknown, something had shifted inside Ginger. Whatever lay ahead couldn't shatter the burgeoning light of courage radiating from within her. Next step, she breathed, determination sealing her fate. Let us find out what more we can learn, and nothing will silence us. With renewed purpose driving them forward, they left the office behind, ready to untangle the threads of past, present, and future, reclaiming the power over their family as truth. This was their moment, a swift and unwavering storm gathering strength, and they were ready to face it without fear. The journey of revelations wasn't just about her father anymore. It was about reclaiming their own narratives and building a foundation that echoed with love, trust, and unyielding courage, a family ready to rise from the ashes of pain into a future molded by healing and connection. Ginger felt a warm glimmer inside. They were stepping into the light, and this time it was there to stay. As they walked on, Ginger couldn't help but trust the strength she had found. She was turning the page and the world lay ahead, bright and waiting for them. Now is the time to change everything. You need to subscribe now to catch these exclusive stories and join us on this journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions about this ending. We want to hear from you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation.